What is managing randomness, and who are the winners and losers in that?
Randomness is a tricky thing to manage. Obviously it's about trying to guess what might happen in the future, and sometimes it's two or three things. And it's about focusing on all three and what you do in those three scenarios rather than just one, rather than just assuming success. And a lot of people are devastated when it doesn't work.
What has been your key to success, and how can organisations learn from your view on the world?
I think if I had to summarise my view on the world for business, it would be people, people, people. It's all about managing the people, choosing the right people, helping those people, etc., etc. But it's always people, more than product.
What's the next big thing?
Well, I think there's a lot of next big things, oddly enough. The world we live in is changing so quickly and accelerating. But obviously there's a lot of things to do with the environment, to do with energy, to do with aging, to do with cancer treatments, all those sort of things, water. There's some very big scientific issues which, as we get wealthier over a long period of time, become more and more important, and the planet is becoming more and more important. So obviously the green message, all those things are big things. The rise of, economically, the rise of Asia is still continuing and will always continue. Technology is, you can't get much more important than that, can you? That has probably been the biggest drive of our improvement in standard of living in the last 100 years. And a lot of that has come from SMEs. A lot of those are the innovators, because it is harder for bigger companies to innovate sometimes. And a lot of the bright ideas are coming out of the small companies.
How important is diversification, particularly when people are retrenching into what they know best, given that we're in a recession right now?
Well, it's tricky. Obviously, diversification is described as the one free lunch. It's something you benefit from diversifying by covering, to cover your risks. On the other hand, you also should, stick to your knitting and do what you do well. There's no point diversifying into something you don't do well or that's overly risky or expensive. So diversify, but only up to the extent that you've still got an advantage. Well, social media is fantastic because we increasingly have been, we no longer live in villages, we live in big cities, and so there's less and less personal interaction that there used to be. But this sort of social networking has brought it all back. So suddenly you got people talking to each other who don't know each other, and people who don't see each other very often. So it's almost made the world a more sociable place. So it's fantastic to see something as dry as technology meeting something as fun as social networking.
What have you picked up from this morning? What are you leaving the event with?
Well, hope. It's easy in this current economic climate to get a little bit worn out and all the rest of it, but you go there and you see there's still a lot of people with bright ideas, a lot of energy out there, so it can get better again.
So, you talked about Levi Roots and backing a personality in an increasingly fragmented media world. Do you think this is one way that brands can really talk to their customers by being human rather than faceless organisations, and therefore should SMEs focus on this?
Well, obviously it depends who they're dealing with. If you're dealing with businesses, it's less important. Obviously dealing with consumers, with Levi Roots, obviously we were going straight to the consumer, so personality is very important. With businesses, sometimes they're not a little bit drier, but it doesn't hurt to have someone to open the door. One benefit from me having a little bit of exposure is that I can open doors, and that helps a lot with the little companies that I'm involved with, so I can get the meetings that I want to have. I think for me right now, I think it's not a bad time to start to be a bit braver, because I made some good money coming out of the tech wreck, some risky investments where I gritted my teeth, and this feels a little bit like the same time. There's a lot of cheap opportunities out there, a lot of markets left untouched because people are too scared. This could be the time for a little bit of a brave venture.